using different standards of assessment as a compensatory mechanism in the face of differential performance by race will get you representation, but it won't get you equality. It will get you equity in the Kindian sense of the word, but it won't get you equality of standing. It won't get you equality of respect. It will not give you mastery. It will not give you the solid foundation on which your status would stand. Instead, you become a ward. You become a client. Your position is by their leave.
A lot of institutions have embraced this approach to race. Why do you think it's become popular at elite institutions? And what do you think we should do about that? And generally, where should we go from here?
Okay. I can't, I mean, you need a cultural historian and, you know, somebody who's read all these books that keeps tab on all of the different developments and various aspects, in, you know, in journalism, in the academy, and you know, the marketplace and commerce and whatnot.
He reads all these books, by the way. So,
to, you know, a Christopher Lasch type figure, or somebody like that, late great Christopher Lasch, you know, who could then opine on, you know, how it is that we've come to this particular juncture. I gave my gloss on one dimension of it, which is that 21st century lagging status of African Americans cries out for an account, and so on. But I think the institutional response is complicated. I think, why does Nike or whatever do what they do? Okay, so they're a company, they got a market, they got a brand, they have to worry about what they do. Why does Brown University does what it does? Well, it's a particular institution with a particular kind of history, and I only single out Brown because that's where I am, but it stands in for a lot of places, including perhaps this place. The elite institutions of higher education who have a certain logic within their own administrative development. They have various stakeholders and constituencies, and they are managing the problem the way that they are managing it. You know, I think there's a certain appeal, is there not, to the music of anti-racism and to the music of white privilege and all of that. Frankly, I have deep issues with it as a way of talking about the conditions of African Americans. I think it's patronizing in the extreme. I think it's cheap grace to a certain extent. I mean, affirmative action, for example, an elite university can bend over backwards to get its optics right, to get the 8, 10, 12% or whatever it needs in the incoming class so that everything looks right. That doesn't actually address the underlying fundamentals of human development, the disparities by race of which are reflected in the conventional instruments of assessment when universities decide whom to admit, like test scores and so forth. And so using lower cutoff scores for your African Americans and fudging that and talking about, well, you know, we're holistic assessment and whatnot, is fine for an institution because the institution is managing its brand and it's trying to keep its image up, and it wants to have a nice little composition of student body for its campus. But there's a collective action problem here, in that, you know, each individual institution may be doing what's good for itself, but the net effect of that may be to avoid addressing the root causes of the disparity in the test scores, which are what necessitates the use of the affirmative action admissions policy, which root causes may have to do with K through 12 educational failure, and may go back to issues of family organization and parenting and things of this kind. Again, you're not supposed to talk about the behavioral and cultural foundations of the disparities. This has no place in the universe of an Ibram X. Kendi, for example, any such accountancy which called attention to the root developmental foundations of the human behavior which leads to the disparities that he condemns is verboten. Everything has to be ascribed to some atmospheric, systemic, white, anti-black racism. So, I mean, I think it's a whole lot easier to embrace this outlook. But I think it is ultimately a false god. I think it is not equality. I think, just to talk concretely about higher education admissions as a case, the more general point that I'm making, using different standards of assessment as a compensatory mechanism in the face of differential performance by race will get you representation, but it won't get you equality. It will get you equity in the Kindian sense of the word, but it won't get you equality of standing. It won't get you equality of respect. It will not give you mastery. It will not give you the solid foundation on which your status would stand. Instead, you become a ward. You become a client. Your position is by their leave. It's because they feel sorry for you. It's because they feel guilty about their role in what they take to be their role in your circumstance. That is not equality.
What should these institutions do?
To be honest with you, I don't much care. That's flippant. What should Harvard do? Harvard's in court right now. The Supreme Court in the fall is going to hear this case with Students for Fair Admissions. These are Asian students suing Harvard University for fair admissions. What should Harvard do? I frankly don't care. I mean, I can give an answer. They should hew to comparable standards of assessment regardless of the race of their students. They should perhaps be prepared to live with not as high a number of African Americans on campus as they're now getting. They can make whatever marginal investments they can make in trying to contribute to the development, but they're not in the K through 12 business. As I said, it's a collective action problem. They should obey the law, and the court's going to tell them what the law is.